Welcome to everybody who's going to be watching this later. If you're in class, I know most people will be watching recording because it is an early in the day class. I hope someday everybody that's in this can start making time for themselves during the day to be able to not to live so much by a scheduled life, but by a free life, and still being able to have the freedom and make money at the same time. That's my intention for you all that's stepping in here in this class, is that you find the sense of not being so conformed to the life that we have been told of how we should exist, and that it's okay to say, I need to take an early lunch, I need to take time off, or that it's okay to, that you start creating, that's okay to start creating your dreams around how you want your life to unfold. And so when I started to create this, I found myself actually having to go back to one of my gurus because I had some doubt in myself, but it's a masculine. He's a masculine guru, and he's someone who I found a few years ago. And as I did, he started to talk about Kundalini, and he said Kundalini is the most dangerous yoga you can ever do. And when he started to say that, at first I'm like, click, I want to click off because I love my Kundalini. And then I said, no, you're staying till the end. You need to hear what he has to say, because I was looking for, validation to what I was getting on how it can be so dangerous to us, and that was the word he used, but how it can be so harmful to us to awaken parts of us too soon, to waken us up too early. And that came, and when that started to flood through, it flooded through like big stories and big emotions. And so I listened until the end, because that's what I do in life now, is I listen until the end of everything, even though it's pissing me off. And then I found a priest who was talking about mystics and saying how no one should never announce themselves as a healer, because we are not the healer. And I found myself being pissed off at that for a moment, because that's a part of the identity that I held on to. And then I'm like, I got it. That holding on to that was to, kind of be a cover up to push myself out there, and to get out there, and to be known as the healer, to be known as those things. But the healer is the one who was doing the work through me, the one who was doing the work on me, as I'm the one who was being healed. As up till this point, even beyond, I'm the one being healed, because I recognize there's a whole lot of me that has been awakened, that was awakened in life too soon, or that I was awakened way before this lifetime. And in this lifetime, I had died and awakened many times, but parts of my feminine was awakened too soon. And because of that, that becomes the volcano. And so there's the eruption of energy. And so this is where I understood what he spoke about when he spoke about it, because I was looking at Shakti energy, and the force and the power of the Shakti. It is the protection. It is that banishes the evil. It is that stands up stands up with love, stands up with courage, that divine feminine. But when you are 3 and you're standing up with life force energy, as your divine feminine is being taken from you, you become a volcano. And so our rush and our desire, as he was telling me this, was that we rush into a desire to be something, to be more, to take a stand, to be a fight, to be these roles. And when I'm listening, I could feel myself kind of erupting, because I wanted to kind of interrupt the YouTube. No, you're wrong. And then I thought, this man is what they actually call a true guru. Like, he lives the enlightened life. He lives with the balance of his human existence and his world existence. He's much older than me. He's wiser. He is in the crone energy. He knows what he's speaking about. Listen to him. And as I started to listen, and he talked about Kundalini a bit more, he took it into, when you want a desire to take on Kundalini, and what makes it so dangerous is that it is the hardest. It's the one thing that once it's awakened, you can't unawaken it. But when the Kundalini energy is always ready for you, but you're not ready for the energy. And that made so much sense. So much sense. It's like seeing that little girl, and I remember my daughter being in school and seeing a little kid who was dressed up like they were 17 and they were in grade 3, 4. And they were strutting their stuff. And I thought in the moment, I'm like, good for you, girl. You're so confident. That's so strong. Like, and then now I look back and go, she was supposed to be a little girl. What awakened that desire in her to be a grown up? And then I thought, I'm looking at me. I didn't dress that way because my mother wouldn't let me. Thank God, probably that was a good thing. So there's places where the things that they weren't allowing was a protection. But I wanted to be a grown up so bad. And so I grew up too fast. I awakened so much inside. And by 7, and this is something I always knew, and when it was validated for me, it just made sense. By the time I was 7, I had fully developed. I had fully developed and in my whole core essence of all that I am as a being. And there was no way I could have belonged in this world. And so I was decades ahead of even the parents, the schoolmates, the everything. So is that a blessing or is that a curse to the human existence? It was a challenging life. So anything that we try to awaken too early, because we have a desire, a want to be something, or to just feel this energy, can truly then, it will crumble us at one point or another. And not saying it's bad or it's going to take from us, it becomes an experience, but there's something that happens when you push the force, when you push the force, pressure. And so when we're not ready, when we are not humanly developed, we truly get messed up in a way. And so with my patience of listening, I got to the end, and he's, and it was Sandhu is who I was listening to, and he said, he's talked about power and how we need power in the world and how we need that energy and we need to be able to light up homes. He says, but then he talked about nuclear power and how nuclear power is probably the best thing for us in the world, but it's also the most dangerous things. And the hands that it's put into can be dangerous. So it's the same thing with a woman. When you want to be your divine feminine, you want to be a woman. A woman can be the most powerful, empowering, or the most damaging destruction. So Mother Earth is a prime example. She is so beautiful, but she is so destructive. So destructive. She's fiercely protecting what is hers. And when we get so fierce about our protection, it really has an impact on us. So when he spoke about the nuclear, and I start to look at it different, it's like it has so much potential. And this is what makes Kundalini so dangerous and feminine energy, is its potential. Are we ready for our potential? And when are we ready for our potential? It's like that scholar that has the child that you need to be a genius by the time you're 3. Yes, they might be able to go to university at 8, but are they really ready to go to university? Because what happens to all the other skills that develop in them? So this is the place to start, because if we're going to awaken any more than what we are, or to come to understand why we struggled so much at different areas in our lives, we understand that parts of us were awakened too early in life. We weren't equipped, even though we had potential and we're strong women and we have so much intelligence and we have the ability, but we weren't emotionally or spiritually prepared for some of the things that we would have had to have existed within on that journey. And everybody's is a different time, of course. And so that potential and the unrepairable damage when something does go wrong, like an earthquake, you can't repair an earthquake. You can't fill in that crap. You can't fill in that ground. The structure is changed. The structural integrity of the earth is changed forever. There's plates. There's these plates that are inside the earth. There's a core. And once it's shaken at the core, you can't repair it. It always has a different formation than when it started. It always has a vulnerability. It always has a weakness. It always has something that makes it different than it was. But it's new land. It's unique. It's got something still beautiful about it. It's different. A volcano. A volcano, beautiful to look at, and everybody wants to live near it, but nobody wants it to erupt. And then they want to try to redirect things so that it doesn't bother them. It doesn't destroy what they try to put too close to it. And then when it erupts, it's the volcano's fault. It's the volcano's fault. But the volcano's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And then it brings new life. And then it brings new land. And then beauty grows again. And then beauty grows again. And so when we're prepared, he speaks of doing yoga, and he says, why do we not want to start slower? Why do we not want to do the easy stuff? Why do we not want to take our time and embrace learning and becoming skilled? Because we want to live to our full potential too quickly. Because what we don't realize is that our full potential is in what we are capable of handling. What we are capable of handling. And so I don't know if I was capable of taking this on, even though I had all the knowledge and I'd spent 30 years in the industry. And I mastered it. Was I in my full potential to be able to speak of the divine feminine with love? Because one of the most angriest places I had in me was the mistreatment to myself by women. And that was a huge, huge thing to have to heal. Because working amongst that energy and seeing what we do to each other when we know we have potential, but when we're operating on things we're not ready for, or when we're from that place of thinking that we need to be, need to teach somebody a lesson sometimes even. It was just such a, and so as I stood in that energy, I actually felt love. And as hard as it was to listen, it felt love. And then when I listened to this brother, he's part of a brotherhood of something. So I'm listening to men tell me these stories about female energy. But who's better to tell us about female energy than men? Who sits back and witnesses and observes us? Who sometimes sees the best in women before women do? They always say men make the best hairdressers. It's not true in skill, but it's true in what they see. Because what we criticize in ourselves, we'll criticize in another woman. Men see the beauty. Men see the potential. Men see what's there. Men fitness trainers. It's not that man is any better than woman. But same thing when we look at a man, what do we see in them? So what they see in us is what they'd love to awaken in themselves. And what we see in them is what they would love to be able to be themselves. They would love to be able to sit back and breathe. Love to be able to bring out their softer side. They admire what we have. So I found it very odd in the beginning that I was listening to the goddesses talk to me, but I was validating the messages through the view of a male. So when the priest was talking about claiming being a mystic, I found myself being very offended. And then I realized if I'm offended by that, what of me am I still trying to define by my roles? And he said exactly what I always say. I could be wrong. That's just how I personally feel. He said, I'm not saying I'm right. He said, that's how I feel, because I feel as if we are the satellite. And I'm like, and I say we're the bamboo shoot. So if we're the satellite, if we're that energy, if we're the vessel, are we also just the vessel for our divine feminine? Are we just a shell? Because we also have the masculine. And so when we have such a hard job claiming our title as a woman, as a mother, as all of these things, is it because the essence of what it truly is so big and so bright that we are so afraid of claiming the title of something that is so much greater than us, that we remember but don't remember, that we remember our mother, where we came from, we remember that divine mother, we remember Mother Earth, we see how big she is. And when I keep talking about I've become small, I've become small. I've become small because I see the power of Mother Earth. And when we talk about Mother Earth under my feet, all I got to do is look around. You're a speck of sand in this earth. If you look around, you cannot even see her hips. You can't see her. You can't see her feet. You can't see any of her other than the ground that you walk on. And then the things that sprout from her. Because everything else is material. We can see her at night in the dark. We can see her brilliance. We can see her destruction. She's vulnerable and exposed, but she's more powerful than we'll ever be. And so we have a fear of power, but we also have a quest. We have a thirst for it. We have a desire to be important, but we're also afraid to be important. We want to be seen, but we're afraid to be seen. Is that because we're not prepared for our potential? And have we ever looked at life as being prepared for your potential? That was always there. That you are preparing for your potential. When you realize you're preparing for your potential, you can kind of sit back a little bit. And what I first wrote down, when I first started this, so many opening statements came. Conceive to receive. Conceive to receive. How do we get pregnant? We automatically go, we have sex with a man. But do you not spend a lifetime preparing and maturing to full potential for all parts of a woman to be ready? And not just because they hit 12 and that part works. I mean, preparing, like getting to the point of, when you're in a healthy state of preparing for pregnancy. We try our best to plan for that. And then if it happens early, we conceive too early. We're not at our full potential. And then we have to try to do makeup on it. We have to work extra hard. And then that's when some of our collapsing comes in. That's when we shut down. Because how do we hold the power of mother? And especially if we were given a weak mother. And I don't mean weak in who she is. I mean in her own belief system in herself, in understanding her potential. If they're just existing through life, right? And so this is where it all began. And it gave me some really big things to think about. What makes a goddess? What makes the word goddess seem so unobtainable? What makes it feel like we have to worship it? What makes us fear it? What makes us become so so willing to believe in the story of her. If we can't see her, we've never seen her. Or to dismiss her, to not believe in her, to call her evil, to say that that's an evil belief system. That's worshiping. Don't worship a woman. Don't worship a goddess. You only worship the one God, the man. What brings that fear story to life? You know what brings it to life? Because what you have heard of her is true. It's true in somebody's story. Somebody would have witnessed a bitch. Somebody would have witnessed somebody who was larger than life that nobody else could touch or compare in their stories, in your witnessing of your experiences. You would have witnessed somebody who would have thought they were better than everybody. You would have witnessed somebody who was all about giving and receiving. You heard what you have witnessed and what you've seen and what you've heard of her is to be true. But it's only what we were told. We have never actually, we believe we've never seen a goddess. And so the power of a woman becomes a much bigger thing when you start to dig in what a goddess really is and what the powerful life force is. So when you see that beautiful shape of the woman, and I have the picture, I've saved the picture, and I'm like, I'm going to add all this to it after. And it's like, so there's a picture of the woman's body. She's not skinny, she's rounded, she's got the hourglassy shape. And then she's got the spiral, which in Reiki is the Daikomayo, or is the Shokure, and that's the power center. So your Shokure, your power center, that's what ignites the Reiki. That's what ignites the start. And this is in the embodiment of the statue of the goddess, of awakening the goddess within. Because the power is within. But are we ready for the power? What are we ready to awaken to? And what you see, you perceive to be true is such a truth. So when we first see those little things, we think, oh God, she's a witch, she's got a little quarter moon, she's got this, and she's evil, whatever your thoughts start to come. And we perceive that to be true based on our stories, right? So we do that to women when we see women as well. So if we see a woman, dressed in all black and she's tattooed up and she's got piercings and she's all that. I mean, you take elders especially, right? And they're like, my God. And I remember working with a hairdresser friend who was a little bit older than me years ago when I first started, and I wore all black. I always wore all black. And it was because it was practical for work and I couldn't afford to buy a lot of clothes. So we could color it in. We could color in the spots that if we got its bleach on it, lightener on it, we could color it in with a marker. So we could fix our black clothing. And then we could put black dye in and wash it in the washer and make it black again. And so we could keep this clothes for a long time. We had no money. We were young hairdressers. And so her mother came to visit the shop and she's like, who's that satanic girl over there? Look at her. She looks evil. Like she looks like a devil worshiper. And my friend says, what? She's, look at her. And my friend always dressed the part. She was raised in a very religious church. She wore her button-up blouses to her neck. She always had her hair curled perfectly, her perfect little hands. Everything on her looked so perfect. And I just dressed as I was. My hair could be falling down, falling out, just being me. And she told me what her mother had said. And she started to laugh. And she said, the funny fucking thing about that, I might be the one who looks like the angel, and I'm 10 times worse than you are. I am 10 times badder than you are. But I have to be secretive about my life. You tell all your old clients, they come up from the seniors' place just to hear about your Friday nights. And you tell them all about you being drunk on Friday night and that you went to the strippers. And they think it's hilarious because they're living through you. And so you live a more animated life. And people assume these stories about you. but you're one of the most innocent people I've ever met in my life. And she said, see what people do to us? I said, yeah. I said, you're stifled in a box, scared of your mother, and I'm out living my life. I said, I get it, I see it. But also that part of me is also a disguise. Because I dressed and cloaked to what I wanted people to think of me. Because who I truly was, as I spoke of in my live this morning, was an alien. And I was a weird alien. And so I was always trying to be somewhat of a cool kid. So I sold parts of me to be the cool kid, to be that young, hip hairdresser that everybody would want to be. Even the old women wanted to be me. And it was a beautiful woman who came in one day who had Down syndrome. And she lived with her senior mom. And she used to chew her gum. And I tell you how special she made me feel. She would chew her gum and then tell me to put her hand out, put my hand out, and she'd spit her gum out in my hand. She's, now get rid of it. And she would tell me, I'm the queen. I'm the queen. And she was confident. She had all the potential in the world, and she was using her potential to the level and means that she could, because she had no desire to be anyone else. She was freaking proud as punch of who she was. And she was older than me. And one day she just said to me, I was cutting her bangs, and she used to cut her bangs with like toenail clippers and stuff. And I was cutting her bangs, and she was chewing away on her gum, and she's like stretching out. And I said, put that in your mouth. I'm going to get hair in that. And I start to laugh at her. And she said to me, you have the most beautiful smile I've ever seen. And I said, well, thank you. And she said, can I tell you something? I said, yes, you can tell me anything. I said, but I'm a little scared when I tell you that. And she said, you look like Raquel Welch. And I went, what? She said, you look like, you know, the lady who sells the wigs on the back of them true romance magazines. She said, she's on the back of the magazines. You look just like her. You're the most beautiful woman I ever seen. Yeah. One woman seen me as satanic. This beautiful woman who's seen beyond, who, you know, when we look at women with Down syndrome, we look at them one way, you know, the world just do. And I just live in awe of them. I'm like, I belong at home with people that have the ability to see beyond, no matter what it is, to live in that magical sense. And she's seen me. And I obviously definitely seen me in her. Because I seen a woman who didn't have nowhere she belonged in this world. There was very few people that she would have known in town, that she would have had as friends. She had to go to the special school. She was what they called the special needs. But wasn't she not a goddess? Was she not another woman? And she was treated like she was a child by most, but not by her sisters. Her sisters taught her. Her sisters made her feel just like them. They never treated her like there was anything any different about her, except she had to live at home. But what she told me, she says, they're not taking care of me. I'm there to take care of them. And there was a whole lot of truth to that story. There was a whole lot of truth to that story. But she made me look at myself differently. And then I noticed something. I started to change my hair. I started to change my hair. I started to grow my hair back. I started to smile bigger. I started to buy lighter clothes. And I started to wear that clothes out. And I started to be a little bit different than I was before. Because when that messenger came through, she was the messenger of the day. And she looked nothing like any of us. But she was the healthiest, living to her fullest potential, the most sanest one of the whole shop. the only one living and speaking her truth, while all the rest of us were wearing masks. For all the rest of us were playing in our roles, doing our job from the titles that we were given. We were less than, we were peasants back then. That was how hairdressers were kind of looked at $9.99 a haircut. Not being able to afford to live in a nice place, couldn't have a car, you couldn't have both, you couldn't have a house and a car. You couldn't get a loan at a bank because any woman who worked in the beauty industry did not qualify to get a loan for a car, a credit card, unless you had a husband. If you have a husband who's smiling for you, you can get a car, you can get a loan. So we did what we loved and shamed by the world. A place of gossip, a place of, for those old women that would come and that one special lady, it was their place of enjoyment. And it was the place where I found the most of me. And so when I got back to the Kundalini and what we want to defend so badly, it's that I've spent a lifetime wanting to defend a whole lot of things. And I spent a lifetime defending men. Because men and special little people like her are the ones who showed me the best and the worst of me. And I always spent being very protected around a lot of them. I had services that was of service to people that they may be able to get for free. If you were my friend, you may get free haircuts, or you may get haircuts later at night, or you get, it was a whole lot of things that played out. And there was no balance in giving and receiving in that at all. It was give to me and I will take from you. That wasn't anyone's fault. That becomes our fault. That's because of this gauge, which I'm like, it's fucking potential. It's all about our potential. That's the confidence that I was talking about, the natural confidence. So it wasn't that my goddess wasn't awakened. She was awakened real early. Awakened real early in life. And so when we start to look at it, we dress for success, right? We dress for success. We dress to impress. We dress to hold on. We dress to shock. We dress to reveal. We want people to believe in us, or we want people to reject us. We want to push people away. We want to dress to hide. We want to dress to look poor. We want to dress to look rich. We want to dress up. We want to dress down. We are defined so much by the places where we can use creativity to create us. And we create what we are not ready for, or we, in that means in being, trying to play down our potential or to fake it till we make it. And no matter what we do, there's always going to be the one person that sees us. And it's usually the person that you would least expect. Because they're the people that have nothing to gain and nothing to lose. Speaking truth. Because they have an acceptance. They have an acceptance. And when I spoke about this, what we naturally have protection. We naturally have the ability to banish the evil. To banish out. Because a woman's power is so powerful, all she got to do is move her shoulders. And she can kick away a lot of people in her life by just being too beautiful by society. And so when I first started to write out this, I started with a plan. I don't know where this new plan life has come from for me, but I started with another plan. And I was too much. I was too much. I showed too much, talked too much, told too much, and knew too much. I guess I was just always too much. We are the holder of our thoughts, and our thoughts become form. The holder of our thoughts, not the creator of our thoughts. Sometimes we are the holder, because were they originally our thoughts, or were they words that came from another person and had energy, and then we held on to them? To awaken your divine goddess energy, you have to awaken this Prakriti, which is the most powerful primordial energy that is so powerful that they move through the entire universe. And as much as I want to say it was an I, it kept calling itself a they. They move. They move. And that caught me a little bit off. And I'm like, you want me to write they? Well, stop giving it all to a one. You think one life force energy can do all that? But when bonded together, just like cells, just like anything in the matrix, a spider web, it's so blended, you look at a spider web as if it's one. But is it not many put together as one? Your true self and your shadows. One or many? Who you'll be in this lifetime. One or many? The Marys. One or many? The goddesses. One or many? So why, when we speak of God, we speak of just the one God. But when we speak of goddesses, we always speak of multiple. Was there not multiple gods? Which is a hard thing to say, and it's like it even throws me for a loop. But didn't say there wasn't one father. There's many children. There's many children. So the they energy, we are more forceful, more powerful, when we are more than one. So this Shakti is really a goddess energy. And it's the energy that is within us. It is our intelligence, our instincts, our willpower, our actions. It is our magic. And the positive ability to transform. Shapeshift. Why can't you shapeshift? Why do we have to stay the same? Strong. CJK. To be able. It is the sacred force. So the divine goddess energy is the sacred force. So if it's so sacred, why do we try to push it, claim it, own it? Why do we want to be in charge of it? There's so many things that once we start to look at ourselves on a deeper level, I'm like, who would have on this level is going to take me to here? And this is where the fun begins again. And then they said, you have to celebrate this shit. Like, now that you know, now that you've gained some awareness, well, now you have to awaken to a truth of a new dimension. Because the moment you just gain that little tiny bit of knowledge, you awaken something. You might be sitting thinking, what the fuck? Now what have I got myself into? What do I have to do? Where do I have to go? You just got to put on some bright colors. You just have to be aware of what you're wearing. You just have to be aware, is this within my potential? what am I trying to force? What am I trying to make happen too quickly? And so when we think back to our childhood and we think about places, where did you have to be grown up too quickly? Did you have to take care of a brother or sister? When was your first stage of trauma? And this is not such a pretty thing, but when you've been sexually abused as a child, when you've been emotionally abused as a child, that in that moment calls up something in you or closes something down. So an invasion into the sacral, in the most sacred parts of us, awakens something that it's not ready for. And the little girl is now not a little girl. You're a big girl now, you better be a big girl. And so that big girl energy comes, and then you try to compete with the big girl energy. You try to be enough. But what if in the awareness of finding out that we bypassed a lot of our experience, that the magic, if we're that powerful as a woman, that the magic of this is that we don't have to go backwards and become immature, but that we can pick up and transform our lives to the parts of us that we should have been able to allow to develop naturally. And I know I do this in my work with women. You're mature to about 16. Now you're mature to about, and it can become a journey of not beating yourself up, but accepting that there was a whole lot of stages that you may not have got to experience. So if you have to re-experience the rebel of the 17-year-old, does she not get to decide? She goes to the store that 1 week she'll like this, the next week she likes that, and the next week, or that she's going to say, fuck it, I think I'm going to try that on today, and she wears something totally out of character. Imagine she does something out of character, out of alignment. What happens? I'm living to my potential because I passed that. I'm trying to live beyond my potential, and if I have to find out what the 17-year-old like, I don't have to be 17. But there's more to it than the woman who's trying to be the party animal. There's parts of the 17-year-old. And so I always spoke about the childhood dream. What about the other dreams? What about every other dream along the way? What about every other group that you wanted to be a part of? What about everything else that happened? What about the schooling you didn't go do that you didn't think you could? For me, it was the figure skating that I had to give up. Because that was a waste of time, a waste of money, and I was never going to be that. You'll never be a professional skater. Waste your time. At least hockey, they can play forever. Your brother will get new skates and you don't. Because he'll play hockey for a long time because he's got, that's just what boys can do. You're not going nowhere figure skating. It's a nowhere career. I can't go to university because I'm not smart enough. Now I'll call myself a freaking prodigy. And I may not be to the definition, but in my eyes, it must be. There must be something brilliant about me. Right? There must be something. So this is our opportunity to look back through that places, look back through those times. And it's when I start to write down through this, I'm like, this is the same life force energy of full divine feminine awakening of the Kundalini. When you start changing the life instantly and with the same divine, which is so powerful that a woman awakens, the woman in a child is awakened and she struggles. So if the woman is already awakened, and she not bring the energy of the child and nurture her? And she not mother the parts of her that didn't get the mothering that she needed? Can she not become the best friend? Can she not become the best friend to the young girl who didn't have the best friend or had the experience of having the best friends make the so-called best friends make fun of them? Can we not redo some of those things? Because what we conceive, what we conceive, we can receive. So if you can conceive it, if you can give birth to it, if you can start to create something of it from the potential that you have today, how would you bring that to life? So the way that we celebrate this amazing divine feminine energy is to wear bright colors. That's a big part of it. To wear bright colors. That's a part of the celebration. And the bright color, and the reason why women wear bright colors, and like this just makes this like me and my reds. So the women is that to wear away the evil. And it was also so that people would be intimidated. So the wrong kind of people would not dare approach a woman who was in red. So if they had that fake confidence about themselves, they would never approach a woman in red. I was very young, in my early 20s, and I was at a curling match field, and I was out of town. And when I got off the ice, I just went about my life, but I wore red. I wore a red beret. I always wore a red beret when I curled. I wore a red sweater and black. And the next week I was back in my hometown at work, and a dozen roses showed up. And a card said, "I seen you. You did not see me. You are impossible to miss." I don't know. He says, "I had to ask around to find out who you are, because there's no way in the world everybody in there did not know who you were." Well, I wasn't ready for someone that nice in my world. He seen me. I couldn't see me. When I start to remember those thoughts and start to remember those experiences in life, these were all opportunities. As me living as me, that's those doors of opportunities. I was dressed and doing what I loved. Burning. I loved to be on the ice. No matter what it was, I was loved to be on the ice. And so I had my big smile on. It wasn't so much the clothing, what I know now. I was doing what I loved. So I was laughing, I was smiling, I was living in my element, I was living happy, I was living in my color. I was living in my color. Living in colors. When you're living in your color, you can see beyond the colors that are showing to the world. And you can see what's behind there. When you're living in your color. And so when we're trying to live in another color, when we're trying to live beyond our potential, we max out in life too early. We max out in life, we become extremist, we become control freaks, we become OCD, we shut down, we close off, we become angry. We sometimes become very sexually inclined, is it probably the best way to put it, or we become show-offs, or we need to be the center of attention. That's all maxing out. When we max out, we max out. And so as we start to take this, what we're doing is we're going back to the things we were not prepared for. It is the soft elegance of flow. It's the soft elegance of flow that is like a dance. The dance of the northern lights. The things that Mother Earth shows us. Soft breeze on a warm day. The flowers that are awakening. Only when we're in our full potential, And we see these things and see the awe in them. So only when we're in our full potential do we see the awe in ourselves. And when you find yourself living in awe of the softness of the world, you know you're reaching a point where you're ready to start to create your full potential. And so a volcano we look at as if it's such a cool thing. The sea of fire and the lava erupting, coming over. There's such beauty in it. It's what gets in its way. It's so damaging. What tries to stop it, what holds it. The waters and the rough seas and the ocean. If you're in it, it'll eat you alive. If you've been warned not to go into it, storm was coming and you went. If only surfers take the challenge and want to ride the waves. And today is actually an amazing day, because today is like the goddess awakening of when water and fire, it's like the day of the winter and the day of the spring that come today. The day of the dead and the day of the alive, the day of the awakening, the reawakening that joins. So it's where fire starts to melt the ice, where fire and water begins to work together to start to send the nutrients that is needed down deep into the earth, or to rise that water up, create more. It's where there's a whole new beginning that starts. And look at that, it doesn't start on February the 1st. It starts on 2, not on 1. First day is the pause. First day is a pause. The second day is when it starts. So it's not always your first time. It's not always your first relationship. Your second. It's not always the first try. Maybe it's the second one. Maybe it's the third one. It's not always the first outfit. Maybe it's another one. So when we start to talk about our attitude is showing, it's not just our attitude, it's our appearance that shows and reveals our truth. The woman that we call too lazy because she's out in the grocery store with her pajamas on. Is she too lazy? Or is there so much more happening beyond that image? The woman that is so perfect all the time. Is she really that perfect behind there? And I remember this one time. I remember going to look at a house years ago. And this woman, I couldn't wait to see her house that was for sale because we really wanted to buy this house. And she was so freaking perfect. I mean, perfect. When we got to the house, you could barely get in through the door. Perfection, that look of perfection was masking a whole lot. I didn't judge her, never looked at her any different after. I just understood her more. So much more compassion for how she had to exist and what it took every day to get up and put that face on, prepare to go out into the world, and how much more there was behind the scenes. We look at our lives, we look at where we've been, we explore, we look at when we start to actually emotionally and spiritually mature, we grow, we stop being in rebellion to our own life. We stop saying fuck you to ourselves. We may have a fuck you for something out there. When we awaken to the truth inside of us, when we call her in, when we call in that amazing energy, when we call in the likes of Kali, powerful energies, the supreme beings of such powerful energy, benevolent beings. There's so much that then destroys the evil what they call the evil. This destroys the negativity, destroys the negative thoughts, and bring us into stability. When you find yourself dressing and you think, I'm not changing, that's not who I am. What if you don't? What if you don't know who you are? And they say we have 20, if we can open 22 chakras in this lifetime, we're doing good. We have 22 chakras within the body that are like that we speak of, 7 major, and then we have these minor chakras. And we can open up 22. We can live pretty whole. But there's 114. And if you tell a lot of people they have 114 chakras, they will not be happy until they keep thriving and striving to open 114. Well, we can live whole with 22. Why would you waste the rest of your time trying to open 114? Why do we waste our time trying to live beyond our beautiful potential instead of living in potential? Because we are not awake to our truth. So they may have awakened our potential, but our truth is what we awaken. And that's on us. So when we start to shift to dressing back to that success and looking for dressing to impress, this is where the queen, the empress, the maiden, throne, all of that comes in. How we dress to go to our jobs, how we're prepared. And so when I did all my training and stuff in matching people to their seasons and to their color, it never made sense to me. I'm like, well, what if I don't feel like that? What if I don't feel like I like that color? What if I really don't like those colors, but you're telling me I have to wear those because I'm an autumn or and of course I happen to be all seasons, so it worked out well but I couldn't wear all colors in all seasons. But I'm like, I don't even fucking like those colors. So why would I wear it? Because you told me, you put a scarf around my neck and told me that will look fabulous on you. You look fabulous if you wear that. You look fabulous if you wear a scarf. You look fabulous if you do this. I don't freaking want to wear that. And I don't want to look like that. And that's not what I want to do. How does it make you feel? No one asks that. How does it make you feel? And so when I would color people's hair and they were like, oh, I want my hair white, but it's going to ruin the integrity of your hair. But I want it white. That's what's in style. I said, just because it's in style, do you want to ruin the integrity? Well, but I want to have that style. And so, okay, you can have it, but you'll have no integrity of the hair left. Your hair will be fried, damaged. Well, that's life. Everything when we take out everything that's not meant to come out, we empty it all out, there's nothing left. We break. We crack up. And you can try to apply any other color over the top, and they're like, I don't know, you don't do a good job. You need to change your color. My hair can't hold the color. No, there's nothing to hold the color. There's no cuticle. There's nothing left of the hair. It needs it. The smallest molecule in hair is yellow. One color everybody hates in hair is I don't want yellow hair. Well, what's yellow hair? But it's the one molecule that hair needs to keep its integrity. It's all the stages getting to yellow. Or when in salons, we don't show people when the color comes off before you put the color on when you're lightening, because the hair is yellow. And it triggers a response in people, and their whole mood of the excitement of getting the color is gone because all they see is the yellow. I fucking hate yellow. Oh my God, my hair went up staying yellow. That's stripped down hair. So you're stripped down, you're exposed, and you can see what it looks like. You can see the yellow. But now you want me to cover it up. Right? So now I'm going to cover it up. Now I'm going to give you a color that is pleasing to you. And it might be against what I think is going to go with your skin tone, and then you're going to be fighting with this to keep it. But if I just add a little bit of beige, if I just add no, I don't want that. Okay. But you struggle the whole way through your hairdo to maintain what is unachievable. And that's a truth. but we want what we want, right? And so once we start to look at it in a way of, how does it really feel? So the whole time I'm fighting with this hairstyle to keep, does it feel right to me? Do I feel right? Or am I constantly frustrated? And am I constantly asking people, does it have too much gold? Am I constantly trying to find a right light to look good? Imagine if you had which just, that you didn't matter which light you were in, you just looked good. So much truth to all of those stories and all of those words. When you surrender it over, you accept, everything changes. So when we got to colors, you want someone to believe a story about you. So you dress. We go to work. So if you work in an office where everything has to be neutral, you ever notice that offices are often painted very neutral colors? The whites, the grays, kind of blah, like drab, boring. And then they put a plastic flower in the corner to make it look good. And then they tell you to come to work and be happy. Come to work and be happy. But what they're saying is stay flat. Stay flat. Don't come to life. As you come to life, you might question. It's like there's a lot of, like, no, we need everybody to stay in this collective, in this group. We need everybody to stay the same, and then we go to work and we buy dress suits and we buy gray. Or if we got to go to a meeting, we wear gray. We wear those colors, right? How many gray suits do you have? Right? Think about it. And then you hide behind it as maybe a splash of color. The gray is the neutral. So we often wear gray so that we can be the appearance of neutral. You often see politicians, you'll see people dressing gray that don't want to raise tempers, you don't want to raise attention, you want people to stay neutral. You don't want to get anybody heightened. So gray becomes that color. It is neutral, but it's also in the color wheel. It is the color that if you base all of your colors around it, you'll always get the truest of color. If you get from the swatch, you go to buy paint for your house. If you choose because everybody who's unexperienced in color will go to all them swatches. I have no idea why to create them all. It's like got a pink base, it's got a blue base. And then you get home, put it on your wall, and it's like, well, that don't look like that. Because you're not in the store under imposter light. You took it home, you put it in the real light window, you put it on, and you can see its truth. You can see all the underlying colors because it's not in the imposter light anymore. It's in the real light. So now it's exposed. If you pick it from the gray, it is neutral, it is at its truth, and then you put it on the wall, and you're like, wow, that's just what I wanted. It's exactly what I wanted. Because there's nothing else in the shadows. There was nothing else in them. And so it'll always come out through the swatch, through the color. Color swatches and hair coloring, same thing. Every color on a color swatch is on white or gray hair. So I didn't show color charts, and then as my girls come in, I wouldn't tell them how they'd operate their work, their own job. And they would pull out color charts. They take people to the back. They do all those things. That's a sacred spot. No one's there. No one sees what we use. No one sees what you're mixing. That's because I'm the professional. I'm the chemist. I'm the person that makes the color that is in your dreams, right? It's like, you tell me what you don't like and I'll make your hair work. And that was the magic, is that the color swatch will tell you what you want to see. But it's not on your hair. Your hair already has something else about it. So if you see a color on somebody else and you're so determined to wear it, when you put it on you, will you feel the same? Will it look the same? Will you be the same? Because what's underneath the clothing? Right? And what's underneath the clothing, if not in its truth, will be exposed. Pastels. And so as we actually age, pastels lighten us up. That's why nannies wear those flowery shirts with the pastel flowers on them. Because it actually makes you feel happier. And they're already past the bullshit. They're beyond their insecurities. So they're about they're about feeling good. They're about comfort. They're about being able to wear, I'll wear what the hell I want to wear. Didn't ask for style. I like that shirt. I'm having that shirt, and that's what I'm wearing. And they get to that point, and so they wear what they want to wear, and they wear it with way more confidence than what we're wearing at 30 and 40 years old, because they're proud as frickin' punch in that. And then they can match that floral print with any necklace, any pair of earrings. They can wear their pink, red lipstick, no matter what it is, because they know that they are wearing them. They're wearing their colorful self, because by the time they've hit there, they've become colorful. So it's someone who is young, who's never been forced to be anybody else, be themselves. They're often very unicorny, kind of fun colors. You see them, they're dressed in like whatever they want. Like, I don't know, my kid wore freaking pink boots and green pants and odd color shirts, and she had pink hair, and my mother would cringe. What the hell? You see what she looks like today? Couldn't you dress her better than that? I said, that's not me. This is her creation. Don't you like it? She says, no. I said, well, obviously she's getting to you today because she's happy and you're not happy. So something is off here. And so I'm like, and she said, well, how do you feel? I said, I'm gray. I'm neutral. It doesn't bother me. If she's happy, I'm happy. It keeps from a fight. It keeps from an argument. It keeps from, but how many people try to dress their children? How many people pick out your clothes the night before and you don't even know who you're going to be the next day? You don't even know what mood you're in. So you've already picked out the clothes you're going to wear the next day, and you're going to put your body in that, and you're going to wear that all day. And even if it makes you feel miserable, you picked it out the night before, so it's what I have to wear because that's what I picked out. But how do you know that's your mood of the day? How do you know that's how you're going to be feeling the next day? Or if you buy all the same color and you will wear them every day, how are you going to get in a different mood? How are you going to be different? How are you going to, right? It's like, and so black is actually like one of the most elegant colors, but black is also called now, like it's a lazy, like it's made people lazy because black is easy. Black is easy. It means I can match with anything. I can pull the cupboard, I can out of the closet, I can throw it on. I can just go. I don't have to put much more effort into it. I don't have to do nothing with it. But black and white is a different story. Black and white is I'm neither this nor I'm that. I'm neither this nor I'm that. And I'm just and this is it. What you see is what you're getting. That's black and white. And when we talk about personalities being black and white, it's the same thing. It's like, I love a black and white combo. I love white pants and a black shirt. And then that's the other thing, white pants, white jeans. How many people have heard you can't wear white pants? Big girls especially don't wear white pants. Don't wear white pants in winter. Why the fuck not? There's snow down. It is white. Right? Why the fuck not? Why can't it's white out? It's probably the cleanest time of the year I'm going to stay if I wear them now. And it's like, what is that rule? And where did that ever come from? Right? Where did that ever get stuck in our heads? And we carry that thought. And we're like, but I want to wear that. But you can't because it's the wrong time of the year. So you'll stick it back in the closet instead of enjoying the clothes that you have. I wear it. I put it on. I wear what I want. And so it's that whole essence of a beautiful black shirt with white pants. But the all black may also be hiding something. It might not always be about confidence. It may be what it's hiding. And sometimes we want to push people away. Sometimes we want to hide. But sometimes it's practical. For me, it was practical. Black was practical. But when I was sinking in my own misery, and then on top of that, I was wearing all black, was I really heightening up my day? But now give me a black dress. I'll rock that shit for you. But I'm going to have some skin showing most times. But it's like, but you know that you can bling up black too, right? So there's that, why am I wearing all black? And so you have to ask yourself, why does my closet look all black? Am I fearful of color? Am I afraid someone's going to see me? Am I afraid I'm going to stand out? Am I trying to hide? Am I trying to blend? What is the why behind our black? And if you can't do any other color, buy something that's a black and white blend so that you can start incorporating that new look. Like, just so you can start to wear another color. I never used to wear white. And then I'm like, all of a sudden I'm wearing white. but I would never wear white shirts. I wear white pants, but not white shirts. And it was my thing was I was a hairdresser and you get color all over it. It would ruin everything. And then when I could wear white shirts, I put it on like, why do I look so good in white? But white was a pure color. And white was, and like white to me was almost a color of honoring my grandmother. And she'd starch everything and she'd bleach everything. And she'd bleach your socks. Even mom would bleach her socks. You go put them on, your holes, your feet would come out through because your socks would be so bleached so often. But it was like this crispy white. Is it purity? Is it angelic? Is it neutral? Or is it an empowering color? White is a goddess color. It is a power color. White is the color of maybe no one knows who she is. No one knows what she is. I don't have this. But it's also a color that makes people curious. You notice you're wearing white, people often stop you and ask you, where'd you get that? How many people avoid wearing all white? A long white cape. That's be one of my favorite outfits. A long white flowy dress. It's because it feels lovely. It feels like it flows. So when I hear people say, well, I don't like to dress like a girl. Well, men wear pink, so how is it girly? Right? And so we define that by what we've been conditioned to or what we believe or what we're trying to hide. If we've been mistreated by the women energy our whole lives, we're going to try to be masculine, or if you're still trying to be daddy's little girl and you're still trying to dress all that part. And then when you dress girly, you start mocking and making fun of yourself for being dressed so beautiful. What happens to us? And who got their bar clothes, and then you got your work clothes, and then you got your, right, my bar clothes. Got my going out clothes. Got the clothes, that sexy clothes. And so that sexy clothes then becomes, people define it, well, here she goes, she's getting dressed to get attention. But sometimes is that attention? Or is that an empowerment? Is that you empowering yourself, knowing full well that it's not something I would wear to my job because that's not how I represent myself during the day, but it's the other parts of me. Why can't you have many pieces of you? Why can't you have many different styles? Why can't you have many different parts of you? What's wrong with a pair of boots up past your knees? What's wrong with a short skirt? How many times you've been told that a skirt is too short? You can't wear that. I taught my way through teaching at the college in miniskirt suits. Had my blazer, had my little thing around my neck, my little scarf that I'd wear. I wore blue. I wore blue suits and red suits. And I wore miniskirts and high heel shoes. And I was the hairdresser teacher. And everybody knew she was the hairdresser teacher. And it's funny how you were identified, like, that gotta be her. Because I didn't fit into the box there either. Because I couldn't conform to there, but I didn't break the rules. And I wasn't trying to be a rebellion, but I really wasn't willing to sacrifice parts of me to take on a job, which I was honored to have, which was a big compliment to who I was and what they seen in me. And I got hired for my hair. If your hair is that great, you must be really freaking good at your job. And that's how I ended up getting hired. Never mind the rest of what I said. People do choose you by appearance. Blue represents royalty, loyalty. And often that's people who are loyal to themselves, not just to the world. They see themselves as being important, valuable. So blue represents that loyalty, royalty colors. Red is passion. Red can be defensive. But this is one thing to remember. Red also entices appetite. Red entices appetite. Appetite for several different things, but it entices appetite. So it's a stimulant. So it stimulates you. It gets you right. And so there's this quest, this thirst, this hunger that comes. It's like the red cloth to the bull. What do they want to do to it? They have a desire to just frickin' destroy that thing. But red is also passion, and there's so much power to a red color. And as an Aries, that's my power color is red. And I wore red as a claim to fame. And I wore it all over my whole body, like on top. Now it's boots. I don't wear so much red on my whole body as I wear there, because it's also something that, do I need to be that stimulated myself? So is it affecting me to wear the red? But it also makes you stand out. And I don't need a color anymore to stand out. I'm pretty okay myself to stand out, but I love a red dress. And it's like, and so when we talk about dressing for success or dressing up in your goddess energy, you might say, I hate dresses. Well, have you tried dresses? Have you found the right dress? Have you found the right shoes? Have you found something that makes you feel comfortable? Do you hate it because of a previous experience? What do you hate? Because do you really hate it, or is it a trigger? Right? And so when you start to own that femininity, is that even a beautiful pair of pants can flow like a dress. I love bell-bottom dress pants. And you probably say, I hate them because of, you know the era, you know the time. But put them on. It's like wearing a pair of high-waisted pants. People say, I'm not wearing them high-waist pants. I'm like, just freaking try it. Just put them on and then look at your shape. Look at your silhouette. Problem is we don't want to look at ourselves. And we don't want to be made uncomfortable. So we try to stay comfortable. Wear something that makes you feel uncomfortable for a day, and watch how uncomfortable you feel everywhere. And some days you need comfort. Some days you need to find that comfort. And then pink is also red. So pink is also red, right? Pink is red. Pink is red and white mixed together. So it is softer. It is softness. And so when you find yourself needing to just be softer, pink is it. Men love to wear pink because it actually makes them feel like themselves. Because it's the other part of them. It's an expression of self that they don't get to express. But it's also, there's power in pink. And it's not just a women's color. And so when I found myself removing all my dark colors, I found myself moving in more of my lighter colors, my pastels, my uplifting colors. Because I feel a need to uplift myself and to be that. You'll find that within yourself. Owning your space, so blues, like that dark royal blues and stuff, that's owning your space. Green is often very present. Greens can kind of be like a blah, or it can be a trigger. It can be earthly, it can be root, it can be grounded. Those browns and greens and stuff can often be what they call unattractive colors. And some people are seeking to be unattractive. So they make sure they wear a color that becomes unattractive, that sense of, but on the other end of that, people that are very intuitive wear those colors because it's grounding, it's connected to the earthly colors. And brown can be such a warmth, and it can make you feel warm, it can make you feel connected. But is the brown also hiding you, right? Do you wear it to kind of to go into the ground? Or do you wear it because you just want to, you want to shrink into your own self and not be seen by the world? But you put on a nice brown pair of wool, like nice wool dress pants, like tweed wool dress pants, and put on a gold shirt and watch and see how you come to life. Because brown is also gold, and gold is in brown. Because brown has a lot of yellow, right? And so there's a lot of golden energy, but only when you see beyond color do you see it as so attractive. And so when you start to see your browns, there's rich in brown. Browns are rich. They have a richness to them. They have a warmth to them. They have a style to them. They have a movement to them. They have a rock solid in who we are. And then we also have, you're told your warm colors, your red colors, your cool colors, all those things that become us. And so um, I wrote this down. If happiness is internal, then how will you know how it feels internally if you don't observe, witness, feel the beauty? That's fabrics, that's material, that's the weight of the clothes that you wear. Because if you already feel weighted down, the last thing in the world you're going to do is wear weighted clothes. Lighten your clothes. Wear lighter sweaters in weight. Don't wear a heavier sweater if you're already weighed down. Get a weighted blanket, and you can weigh yourself down then, but like let yourself be a little more, like it's amazing. You think you're actually more comfortable in the big sweater, but you're shrinking more into the moment that you're in. If you take that off and you layer up and you wear layers and you're still kept warm, then you can take off as you feel comfortable. As you walk into a room, if you've got layers on, you can take off a sweater. You can take off a shirt that's over. You can take off those layers. You can start to reveal yourself as you feel comfortable. With a neurological condition, I could be at work and I'd say, I have to go home and change. They're like, why, what's wrong? And I said, my clothes is hurting my body. Clothes literally hurts my body. It's heavy, it hurts. So you feel. So especially when you're no longer numb, you know. So sometimes we want to wear lighter jeans and we don't want heavy jeans. And sometimes we want that good, solid, heavy jean. And so jeans are, another thing, and the connection to jeans and jean colors. Blues, those cool colors can also be sadness colors. So what feels like a soft, calm blue might also make people sad. We can stimulate people to be so calm that they actually become melancholy. So they get sad, they get like depressed. It's like, oh God, this is depressing. There's just so much. So that softness, and they may need something to make them feel vibrant, because what connects to you may not connect to your clients, may not connect to the people that are in your world. Same with families. I mean, families don't get to decide what color we paint the house most likely. Most likely it's the mother. And for myself, my mother, I'm the red, she's the Pisces, so she's water, I'm fire. And she would paint everything in the house. She would always call it different colors. And I'm like, it's green. No, this time it's not green. I'm like, it's green. You choose green every time. Because remember, there's different shades of green. Green is such a healing color. And there's so much calmness to it. And I'm like, I fucking hate green. I don't like green. I don't like yellow. I don't like green. And I do now, of course. But it's like, but I don't like green. I don't like green. And of course, the funny thing was, when the book came, what color was the book? Green. The hardcover is really green. And I'm like, that's the biggest joke in the world on me. Because we get caught in that, right? And so it's because I didn't get a say. There was places you didn't get a say. I would have had things brighter in my room. I would have brightened up my world. I would have done, and so, but that would have been triggers for her. So what you like may trigger another. But when you start to evolve with in your own happiness and your own optimism, is that you find yourself choosing to be, those warmer colors or those cooler colors that go on the spectrum of making you feel joy and happiness. The warm colors would be your fall colors. It would be the reds, the oranges, and yellows. And then what would be cooler colors would be like blues, greens, purples. And actually, summer is considered to be you know, those pastel-y colors, but neons and stuff kind of fall in there too. And neons can be like over the top. Totally over the top. Winter is that red, black, white, you know, it's like those colors fit into that really cool, that winter season. And it's like spring. Spring is when we're starting to evolve into some of the lighter colors. But the healthy, so blue can also be used in a lot of places about health, beauty, security. You want people to feel safe, put a soft blue around. The color of Mother Mary. Purple is that creative. It's also royal, but purple ignites creativity. Ignites creativity. It was one of the colors that I avoided for years. And when you learn to like purple, so there's colors that are going to be really hard to wear. And so finding your divine feminine, open up to you, is truly learning to live by your potential. Your potential starts with expanding and exploring the colorful world. Color yourself. And that's where that coloring crowns and those coloring books, all that stuff really matters, because you explore color and you move and shift color. You can see how color and fabric flows. Fabric really flows. You deserve one really good, expensive fabric. You deserve to wear that on your skin. And it's not that it's expensive because, you know, it's just overpriced. Is a fine tapestry. It's very well created. So when you become the fine tapestry, and if you see yourself as tapestry and you see how you can weave your colors into your life, is that you're starting to, what you're doing is you're going back to those times, into those other parts of your dreams, not just the childhood dreams, and you're adding in. You're not filling up. You're adding in the pieces that you would have done, that you would have built into your life, that you would have given to yourself, that you would have loved to have for yourself. And you're going back and you're not acting like you're that age again. You're acknowledging that you're still those parts. You're still this person, but you're slowing it down. You're bringing it back in so that you can embrace the experience and let the potential guide you. And in the same time, you're also evolving. You're also expanding. You're also growing. And it's obvious. No longer wanting to hide. We're no longer wanting to be hidden. Out. We let ourselves be. And there's a lot of stuff now that I just cleared out my closet 2 or 3 days ago, and I never even stopped to look at it. Whether how many times I wore it, whether I'd wear it again. I'm like, I'm not that woman. And that's how I compared it. I'm not that woman. So I'm not going to wear that. Because I'm not her. So I'm not going to wear it. Is that going to be age appropriate? I'm not her. I'm not her now. So she might buy something that even looks similar to that, but I'm not her. And so because I'm not her, I can remove that. Or because I wore that in a really awful time in my life, the last thing I want to do is put it on again and be remembered that. Even though I know that's not a truth. Button-up blouses. Trigger for years, and now I actually own button-up blouses. But I can't button up anymore. So I have to keep them buttoned up. Not undo the buttons. So I buy them, get them buttoned up in the store, and then they stay buttoned up. And it's one from sometimes. But button-up, it's the same thing. To me, that was an old woman shirt, because that's how I was forced to wear. I'm like, I don't like. You can wear a button-up shirt and wear another shirt underneath it and undo the shirt. You don't have to button it up. You see the restrictions. Don't restrict yourself. Don't restrict yourself in the potential of clothing, in the potential of fabric, in the potential of your hair, in the potential of you. Let it be. And let it unfold.